So now look at routing the track. So I'm going to start from you can file this file on the VLE, so gamepad step 2 play. So this is the file where all the components have been placed in the correct places. I've been lined up nicely, rotated, put on the correct side, the dimension layer shaped and resized. So from here we're going to start doing the routing. So when we're doing the routing, we're either on the top, we use the route tool here, and we're going to select whether on the top layer or the bottom layer. You can see there's lots of other clutter on the board. You can see these silk screen layers, so the white place layers and so on. So it gets a bit distracting when you're routing. So using this tool here, we can display different layers. So we need to keep the top, bottom pads, vias, the unrouted, obviously the dimension. That's the outline of the board. But T place, bottom place, origins, all these I'm going to remove for the time being. I'm just going to hide them. You can see they've disappeared. And also there's some further down, so the docu, T docu and B docu, so the layers 51 and 52. So you can see now we got rid of all of those, and I found this now much easier routing. There's much less clutter on the display, and we can just focus on routing these tracks. I've also hidden the ground and the 3v3 lines, those rat's nest lines, to make it easier to route. So if you type in this box here, if I do rat's nest, so I can unhide them now. So rat's nest ground, and the lines will appear. And rat's nest plus 3v3. So that's the name of those nets we want to hide. So by typing that command in, but with the exclamation mark, so rat's nest, that's like the not operator in C, C++. It's the same thing here. So rat's nest not 3v3. That'll hide those lines. We don't need to route these. We also don't need to route the ground. We're going to use power planes to do that. So now we can see each of these lines where we've got to route. So it's just a case of going through now with this route tool. So I'll start on the top layer. So I'll select the width to be 10mm. We only ever do horizontal, vertical and diagonal lines. So if we select this tool to select what kind of a bend to use, and it's just now a case of going through. So we'll start with the LED. Is very simple to do. You just click on one of the yellow routed wires and you see it kind of highlights, goes a brighter colour. It just tells you where you've got to go to. So in here, I'll just move across so you can see I'm just doing diagonal lines. So it's just a case of working through each one of these tracks, trying to do it neatly as well. You don't want your PCB to look a mess. And just working your way around. So I'll do the power lines next. So the power goes from, this is a plus volt of the battery, plus 9 volts, goes through the switch and up to the V-in pin. You can see I won't be able to use the blue line. Sorry, I won't be able to use the red line because it's going to overlap. I can't. It's going to start overlapping when I'm trying to get down here with these components on the top. So I'm going to use the bottom. So when I select the route tool, I'll select the bottom. I'm also going to make it wider, use 24mm, just because it's larger voltage, so power supply, so I'll just make it wider so it's lower impedance, and I'll put those tracks on. So again, I can't just route directly up here because I'm going to be overlapping with these pads, so that's going to be, that'll be a short circuit, so this pin will overlap with 9 volts and so on, so we need to avoid going around those, so we have to kind of go around all those. It's not really ideal, but sometimes you just have to have long unwinded tracks. So most of the time you want to try and avoid having long unwinded tracks, but other times you just can't avoid it, so you have to do it. So I'll now route the buttons, but I can see I'm going to have to use the blue, so bottom layer. So I go on the top layer, I'm going to overlap them with these tracks, so that's a short circuit, so I can't do that, so I'm going to have to use the bottom layer. So I'll select bottom. I'm going back to 10mm for a signal line. So we'll start with this one. So I'll put that there. And then with this line, I can go through something like this. So in some cases you could see that's if I stayed on the grid, so these grid points, so I've gone on here, display grid, so the default grid, you can see if I did that, it's getting that's quite close to that pad, so that's gonna won't be able to get manufactured. So I just press Ctrl Z just to unroute that. But you can see on this grid setting there's this alternate grid size. So that's half of the steps. So that's if you hold down Alt on the keyboard, you find that you can actually start moving in half a grid step. So there I was going to move up half a grid, and that'll keep me away from that pad. So just while we get in here, and I'll move back onto the full grid then. So just around that, so just around there, just want to try and avoid getting too close to that pad. So this button Y here, I won't be able to, it's going to be hard to get to here. I can't go underneath because I'm going to overlap with the blue. If I go underneath the red, I'm going to overlap with there, so I'm going to have to go on the top. Trying to go around, to make it look nice, I'll just go on the middle of the grid there. It's a start button. Let's route that. It's in these lines. So you need to be careful when you're routing, because there, if I went too diagonal, you can see that track starts to overlap with the start pad. Once again, a short circuit. So you need to make sure you don't overlap with any other tracks or pads. So I'm going to do something like this for this one. So that just doesn't look nice there. I don't know. I'll rip this bit up here. I'm just going to stick to diagonal. Again, so then to a roughly parallel, you can see that doesn't look nice there. So if you've got tracks going in parallel, just try and make so that looks nicer. And then with these two pins, again, I can see now I can't use the blue like it's going to end up overlapping with this track, so I'm going to have to switch to the top. Luckily I can get through the pad, get through the gaps there. It's just a case really of just working your way through, joining up the tracks, trying to not cause any overlaps. So you should be able to finish off routing the board. I'll just demonstrate the use of a via. Because here, for this track for example, I can easily, just connect red. That's not an issue. So the red's going to cross the blue here. But we can use a via to jump over what you need to do sometimes. So suppose I'm on the bottom layer and I come across a blue track. If you change to the top, so I'll put a via in, click that, and I'll go on, now I'm on the top layer, so now I can jump over the blue, and you can either stay on the red, so you can stay on the top, or I could go back to the bottom. So again, in that case, is not a problem. We're not crossing tracks on the same layers, we've jumped to the top one to go over. So you should just be able to complete the rest of that routing the other tracks trying to not cause any overlaps.